Daphne's phone lay on the kitchen table, its screen glowing in the darkness. She had fallen asleep on the couch after the long drive, and I couldn't tear my eyes away from what I was seeing. 15 missed calls. The name in contacts, Karl work. But this didn't look like work calls at 2 in the morning. My name was Matthew, I was 31 years old, and I had just driven 1,200 miles from Houston to Norfolk, Virginia. All my belongings, my entire life was packed in a rented U-Haul truck that now sat in the parking lot of our new apartment. I did this for her. For Daphne, my wife, who had just completed 6 months of Coast Guard training. It all started 6 months ago. Daphne got accepted into the Coast Guard Academy. It had been her dream since childhood. Her father served there, and she always wanted to follow in his footsteps. I supported her, even though I knew it would mean 6 months of separation. She went to the training center in Cape May, New Jersey, while I stayed in Houston, continuing to work at a logistics company. The first 2 weeks were difficult, but we managed. Daphne called every evening, talked about training, about new fellow service members, about how hard it was, but how happy she was. I heard the enthusiasm in her voice, and it made me happy too. Then something changed. About a month after training started, her calls became less frequent. At first once a day, then every other day, then once every 3 days. When I asked why, she said training had become more intensive, that they took their phones away all day, that she was just exhausted. I tried to turn on the location tracking feature on her phone. We always shared our location with each other, it was convenient. But it turned out she had turned off this feature. Daphne, why did you turn off location sharing? I asked during one of our rare calls. Matthew, they're very strict about privacy here. We were told at the briefing to turn off all tracking features. It's a security issue. Her voice sounded tired but convincing. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? The next few months were hell. Daphne hardly ever picked up the phone. Even when she had weekend leave, her phone was unavailable. When I finally got through to her and started asking why she wasn't answering, she got irritated. Matthew, you're acting so insecure. I'm on duty, I can't be available all the time. Don't you trust me? Those words hurt more than any truth could. I felt guilty for my suspicions. Maybe I really was being too picky? Maybe I needed to trust more? Around the 4th month, something strange happened. I went on Instagram to check her page. Daphne had always been active there, posting photos and stories. But suddenly all her stories where I was tagged disappeared. All the photos where we were together vanished from the main feed. I knew this trick. When someone hides you in Instagram stories, old stories where you were tagged automatically delete. This meant only one thing: she didn't want anyone to know about my existence. Why did you delete our photos together? I asked during another brief conversation. I didn't delete anything, Matthew. Maybe it's some app glitch. Why are you constantly monitoring me? And then she blocked me. Just like that. Her explanation was absurd. You're calling me too much. I need to focus on training. It's temporary. Temporary turned out to be 3 weeks. The longest 3 weeks of my life. I didn't know what was happening with her, where she was, if everything was okay. I just waited. During this time I started working more. Taking extra shifts, joined a gym, met up with friends. Tried to distract myself from that empty feeling growing inside me. One evening I ordered Chinese food. Opened the box with chicken and found a fortune cookie. Cracked it open and read, "Don't let betrayal destroy your happiness." I smiled then. What a strange fortune. As if someone knew. After the unblocking, I decided to play her game. Stopped answering calls right away. Could ignore the phone for an hour, 2, 3. And that's when something incredible started. Daphne began bombarding me with calls. 10, 15 missed calls per evening. When I finally answered, she yelled, "Where were you? Why aren't you answering? Who are you with right now?" "Had a meeting at work," I answered calmly, though I was actually just sitting at home. "You're cheating on me?" "I know it. What bitch are you with?" She demanded I turn on the camera and show her the entire apartment. Walk through every room. Prove I was alone. It was humiliating, but I did it. Because I still loved her. Still believed we would make it through. The last month of her training was strange. Communication improved. She started calling more often again, sent sweet messages, said how much she missed me, how she was waiting to come home. "Matthew, I'm sorry for everything. It was so hard. But I didn't cheat on anyone, I promise. I just want to come home to you." I believed her. God, how much I wanted to believe. When her training ended, it turned out she was assigned to serve in Norfolk, Virginia. We discussed it and decided I would move too. I found a job at a logistics company there. We rented an apartment, signed a 1-year lease. I was a co-signer because her salary as a Coast Guard newbie was small. I met her at the Houston airport when she flew in after graduation. She ran out to me with a wide smile, hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. In that moment all my suspicions seemed foolish. Here she was, my wife, and she was here with me. But that first week at home was strange. We weren't intimate. Not once. Daphne said she was very tired, that she needed time to recover from the tough training. 2 weeks passed. Nothing. I started to worry. Daphne, what's going on? We're not even touching each other. Matthew, I'm just exhausted. You don't understand what I went through. Give me time. But something was wrong. This wasn't ordinary fatigue. This was rejection. I called her to a serious conversation. We sat in the kitchen of our apartment in Houston and I told her straight. Look, I'm about to invest all my money in this move. Pack up my entire life in a truck and drive 1,200 miles. But before I do, I need to know, are we together? Really together? Daphne took my hand and looked into my eyes. Matthew, I love you. Yes, the last few months were hard, but that's because training was hell. Now everything will be different. I promise. Tears were streaming down her cheeks. She looked so sincere, so vulnerable. I hugged her and believed. Again. A week later we packed all my things. Furniture, clothes, dishes, everything I had accumulated over years of living in Houston. My sister Louisa helped pack the boxes. Are you sure about this? She asked as we carried out the last couch. Yes, I replied. This is for our future. She nodded, but I saw doubt in her eyes. The trip took 20 hours of pure driving time, stretched over 2 days with an overnight stay at a roadside motel. Daphne sat beside me, slept most of the way, listened to music in her headphones. We barely talked. I attributed it to road fatigue. We arrived in Norfolk on Friday evening. The apartment was empty, no furniture. The next day I planned to unload the truck, but first we needed to rest. Daphne fell asleep on an air mattress we brought for the first night. I sat on the floor, scrolling through my phone trying to fall asleep. And that's when her phone, lying on a makeshift table made from a box, lit up. 15 missed calls. Karl work. I looked at Daphne. She was sleeping, breathing evenly. I took her phone. It wasn't locked, she forgot to lock it, falling asleep. First I opened the messages. There were dozens of texts from Karl. Where are you? Why aren't you answering? Are you with him now? I missed you. My hands were shaking when I opened the gallery. And that's when my world fell apart. Photos. Dozens of photos. Karl kissing Daphne. They were lying in bed. They were at the beach, hugging. Videos. God, videos. I saw things I could never forget. How he touched her. How she laughed, kissed him. How they made love. The metadata on the photos showed dates. Mid-February, that was a month after her training started. March, April, May, June, July. Until the last day before graduation. 6 months. She had been cheating on me all those 6 months. I scrolled further. Dates at restaurants. They dined together, holding hands. Beach walks. That explained why she didn't pick up the phone on weekends. She was with him. In one video she was filming him as he kissed her neck and she laughed. I love you so much, Karl. I heard her voice. The same voice that told me she loved me. That promised everything would be okay. I started searching for information about him in their correspondence. Karl was an instructor at the base. 10 years older than her. Married. He had 3 children. They were planning a future. When I get divorced, we can be together officially, he wrote. I'll tell Matthew after the move, she replied. I can't live like this anymore. I sat on the cold floor of an empty apartment and read how my wife was planning to leave me. After I had driven 1,200 miles. After I had packed up my entire life. After I had signed the lease. The scariest thing was realizing that all those months when she said she was too busy to answer, she was with him. When she said she was exhausted from training, she was exhausting herself in his bed. When she blocked me, saying she needed to focus on training, she just didn't want me interfering with their relationship. The last month, when she became sweet again, called often, said she loved me, it was because Karl started pulling away. I found their last conversation. He wrote, "Listen, my wife suspects. I need to take a break. Maybe we should stop this." And that's when Daphne returned to me. Not because she loved me, but because he dumped her. I put the phone back, stood up, looked at sleeping Daphne. She looked so peaceful, innocent, as if she hadn't just destroyed everything we had built for 5 years. I went out on the balcony. It was cold. September in Virginia already brought cool evenings. I looked at the unfamiliar city where I now had to live. The city I came to for a woman who betrayed me. The morning was difficult. Daphne woke up cheerful, smiling. Good morning. Let's unload the truck today and go somewhere for breakfast. I looked at her and couldn't recognize her. How could she act like this? As if nothing happened? Daphne, we need to talk. The smile disappeared from her face. About what? About Karl. The silence was deafening. I saw the color drain from her cheeks. How her eyes widened in panic. I don't know what you're. Don't lie anymore. Please just don't lie. I saw everything. Photos, videos, messages, everything. She fell onto the mattress, face in her hands. Started crying. Matthew, I can explain. 6 months, Daphne. All 6 months. From the very beginning. No. Not from the very beginning. The first month I was faithful. It started later. I laughed. It was all I could do to keep from screaming. Oh, sorry. Only 5 months of cheating. That's much better. Matthew, it wasn't real. It was a mistake. He took advantage of me. Took advantage? Daphne, I saw videos where you tell him you love him. Where you plan to leave me. Don't shift the blame. She cried so hard she could barely breathe. Please don't leave me. I'll do anything. It was a mistake. I love you. Only you. Then why did you sleep with him while I waited for your calls? Why did you plan to divorce me? Because he promised me a future. But he lied. He wasn't going to leave his wife. He was just using me. And then I understood. She wasn't sorry about the cheating. She was sorry that Karl dumped her. If he hadn't rejected her, she'd be telling me about divorce right now. I'm going back to Houston, I said quietly. What? No. Matthew, we just got here. You signed the lease. I know. And I'll pay the termination fee. $5,000. Consider it the price of my peace of mind. What about me? I can't pay for this apartment alone. My salary isn't enough. I looked at her for a long time. That's not my problem anymore, Daphne. Maybe Karl will help. The next few hours were a blur. I called the landlord, explained the situation, omitting details, arranged to terminate the lease. Called people to help load things back into the truck. Everything we had unloaded the day before was being packed back. Daphne sat in the corner of the room crying. Sometimes she approached, tried to stop me. Matthew, please give me one more chance. I'll fix everything. I didn't respond. Just kept packing. Leon, my best friend from Houston, called me every few hours. Hang in there, brother. You're doing the right thing. That evening I got behind the wheel of the truck. Daphne stood by the building entrance, tearful, alone. Part of me, a very small part, felt pity. But the larger part felt relief. I drove back to Texas those same 20 hours, but this time alone. The radio played songs that reminded me of us and I switched them. Stopped at the same motel, slept in the same room. But this time I slept without worrying whether she would answer my call. When I returned to Houston, Louisa met me at my old building. I had managed to arrange that the apartment was still available. Are you okay? She asked. I will be, I replied. And I believed it. The next few weeks were hard. I returned to my old job. My manager Eric was very surprised by my quick return, but he hired me again. I started therapy because I realized I couldn't handle this pain alone. Daphne wrote constantly. At first she begged me to come back. Then she got angry, accused me of leaving her in a difficult situation. Then begged again. I didn't respond. The lawyer filed divorce papers. Daphne signed without resistance. She had nothing to divide. I took my furniture. There were no joint savings. A month after I left, Louisa showed me Daphne's post on social media. She was writing about toxic relationships, about how she had to free herself from a controlling partner, about new life and new opportunities. Not a word about cheating. Not a hint of the truth. The comments were full of support. You're so strong. You deserve better. He's not worthy of you. Want me to write the truth? Louisa asked. No, I replied. People who it concerns already know the truth. The rest is none of my business. Another 2 months passed. I started going on dates, not because I was ready but because friends insisted I needed to get back to life. Met Ursula, a music teacher with a kind heart and honest eyes. We went out a few times and although there were no sparks, I felt easy with her. One evening an unknown number texted me. Hi Matthew. This is Leon, Daphne's friend from the base. Can I talk to you? I didn't know any Leon from her service but I replied. I'm listening. I want you to know the truth about Daphne and Karl. She's telling everyone you were a terrible husband, that you controlled her. But I know what really happened. Karl is my commander. He did this with every female recruit at the base. Daphne wasn't the first and not the last. His wife filed for divorce 2 months ago. He's currently under investigation for improper conduct. I didn't know what to say. Why are you telling me this? Because it's not fair what she's making you out to be. You deserve people to know the truth. Thank you, I replied. But I don't care anymore what she says. I'm moving on. And that was the truth. I no longer thought about her every day. The pain had dulled to a dull ache that appeared sometimes but no longer paralyzed me. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and click like if you enjoy this story. I always read your comments and analyze which stories you like best so that I can create better stories. Thank you. I will continue the story. 5 months after my return to Houston, I was sitting in my favorite coffee shop, reading a book. Someone approached my table. Matthew. I looked up. Daphne stood before me. She had changed, lost weight, looked tired. Hair shorter than I remembered. Hi, I said neutrally. Can I sit down? I gestured to the chair. She sat down, nervously twisting a cup in her hands. I moved back to Houston. Transferred to another base. I see. The pause dragged on. Then she spoke quietly. You were right. About everything. I was terrible. What I did, there's no excuse. I nodded. I know. Karl lost his job. His wife took the kids. He blames me. He's to blame for his own choices. As are you for yours. Tears started streaming down her cheeks. I lost everything. The job I loved. My reputation. Everything. I looked at her and felt nothing. No satisfaction from her suffering. No pity. No anger. Just emptiness. Daphne, I don't know what you want from me. Forgiveness? Support? I can't give you that. I know. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry. Really sorry. Okay. Now I know. I stood up, left money for coffee on the table and walked away. Didn't turn back. Didn't feel the need to turn back. That evening I deleted her number from my phone. The last connection to that life we could have had. To the woman I loved but who never really existed. Life went on. I bought a small apartment in Houston, got a promotion at work. Ursula and I became just friends and that was good. I wasn't in a hurry. Wasn't looking for someone to fill the void. Just lived. A year after that trip to Norfolk, I was sitting with friends at a bar. Leon, my friend, not the one from the base, raised his beer. To you, surviving the worst year of your life, he said. To me, finding myself again, I replied. And that was the truth. That UHaul trip took a lot. My dreams of the future. My trust. My savings. But it also gave me something important. Understanding that I was stronger than I thought. That I could start over. That some endings are actually beginnings. The hardest part wasn't the divorce paperwork or moving back. The hardest part was accepting that the person I thought I knew never existed. That the woman I planned my future with was playing a role. That every "I love you" during those 6 months was said while she was building a life with someone else. I remember one conversation with my therapist, Dr. Morrison, about 3 months after I returned to Houston. She asked me what hurt the most about the whole situation. It's not that she cheated, I said, surprising myself. It's that she let me drive 1,200 miles. She watched me pack my life, sign a lease, quit my old position here. She knew the entire time that she was planning to leave me. That's what kills me. The premeditation of it all. Dr. Morrison nodded. That's a normal reaction. Betrayal is one thing. But calculated deception over months is another level of hurt. I keep replaying moments in my head, I continued. Like when we stopped at that motel halfway to Norfolk. We got separate beds because she said she wanted to stretch out after being cramped in the truck. I thought she was just tired. But now I know she couldn't even stand to sleep in the same bed as me. Because she was thinking about him. The therapy sessions helped me understand that what happened wasn't about me being insufficient. It was about Daphne's choices, her character, her inability to be honest when it mattered most. Work became my refuge. Eric, my manager, pulled me aside one day about 2 months after my return. Matthew, I'm glad you're back, but I'm worried about you. You're here 12, 14 hours a day. That's not sustainable. I need to keep busy, I told him. I get it. But don't lose yourself in work. Trust me, I've been there. After my divorce, I practically lived in this office. It doesn't heal you. It just delays the healing. He was right, of course. But some days work was all I had. It was the only place where I felt competent, where I had control, where things made sense. My friendship with Leon deepened during this time. He had been my college roommate and we'd stayed close over the years. But this crisis brought us even closer. One Saturday, about 4 months after my return, he showed up at my apartment with a six-pack and a determined look. We're going out, he announced. Leon, I'm not in the mood. I don't care. You've been holing up here for months. Time to rejoin the world. We went to a sports bar, watched a basketball game, talked about everything except Daphne. Felt good. Normal. Like maybe I could have a life again. You know what the crazy part is? I told him during a commercial break. I don't even miss her anymore. I miss who I thought she was. I miss the relationship I thought we had. But the real Daphne? The one who could lie to my face for 6 months? I don't miss that person at all. That's growth, man, Leon said, clinking his beer against mine. You're seeing it clearly now. The encounter at the coffee shop with Daphne had shaken me more than I wanted to admit. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about how different she looked, how defeated. Part of me, a very small, almost microscopic part, felt bad for her. But the larger part felt nothing. I thought about Karl too. The man who helped destroy my marriage. According to Leon from the base, Karl was a serial cheater who preyed on young recruits. Daphne was just one in a long line. She thought she was special, that their connection was unique. Turns out she was just another conquest. There's something particularly cruel about being the backup plan. That's what I was to her during those last weeks of training. When Karl started pulling away, suddenly I became attractive again. All those sweet calls, those I love yous, those promises of our future together, they were just her insurance policy in case things with Karl didn't work out. The lease termination cost me exactly $5,000 as I'd told Daphne it would. It was money I had saved for our new life in Norfolk. Furniture, deposits, first month's expenses. Instead, it went to buying my freedom. Best money I ever spent. My sister Louisa was my rock through all of this. She called me every few days, checked in, invited me to family dinners. Her husband James took me to a couple of football games. They never pushed, never judged, just were there. You know, Louisa said one day when we were having coffee, I never really liked Daphne. What? You never said anything. You loved her. What was I going to say? But there was always something off about her. She was too perfect, you know? Too accommodating. Like she was playing a role. I wish you'd told me. Would you have listened? She was right. I wouldn't have. I was in love with the image I had of Daphne, of our life together. Nothing anyone said would have changed that. Around the 7-month mark, I went on a second date with Ursula. We went to a jazz club, something I never would have done with Daphne. She hated jazz, said it gave her a headache. You seem different tonight, Ursula observed. More relaxed. I think I'm finally letting go, I admitted. Not of the anger or the hurt, but of the what-ifs. The wondering if I could have done something differently. Could you have? No. I was dating someone who didn't exist. The real Daphne, the one capable of that level of deception, was a stranger. I never stood a chance. Ursula reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Her loss. We didn't become a couple. The timing wasn't right and we both knew it. But that friendship, that connection with someone new, showed me I could still be vulnerable. Still take risks, even small ones. The investigation into Karl that Leon mentioned concluded with his dismissal from the Coast Guard. Conduct unbecoming of an officer, they called it. Multiple violations of fraternization policies. His wife took him for everything in the divorce. I heard through Leon that Karl was working as a security guard now, bitter and broke. I felt no satisfaction from his downfall. His punishment didn't undo what happened. Didn't give me back those 6 months of anxiety and confusion. Didn't erase the image of those photos and videos from my mind. What did help was time and perspective. By month 8, I could go entire days without thinking about Daphne. By month 10, I'd removed all the photos of us from my apartment. Not out of anger, but because they represented a fiction. Those happy faces in those pictures belonged to two people who didn't really exist. I started dating someone new around the 11-month mark. Rebecca, a lawyer I met through work. She was direct, no-nonsense, and refreshingly honest about everything. On our third date, I told her about Daphne. That's rough, she said. But you know what? You dodged a bullet. Better to find out after 6 months than after 10 years and 2 kids. That's what everyone says. Because it's true. She showed you who she was. You just had to be willing to see it. Rebecca and I dated for a few months. It didn't work out long-term, but it was good. Healthy. Normal. It showed me that not every relationship had to be a minefield of lies and hidden agendas. A year and a half after that night in Norfolk when I found the truth, I was offered a promotion at work. Director of Operations, significant raise, more responsibility. The catch. It required relocating to Dallas. I accepted without hesitation. Houston had too many memories, too many ghosts. Dallas was a clean slate. The day before I moved, I ran into someone from Daphne's old yoga studio. Jennifer, who used to take Daphne's classes. Oh my God, Matthew. How are you? How's Daphne? I haven't seen her in forever. I could have explained. Could have told her the truth. Instead, I just smiled and said, "We're divorced. I'm moving to Dallas tomorrow. Take care, Jennifer." The look of shock on her face followed me as I walked away. Let her wonder. Let her make up her own story. I was done being the narrator of Daphne's betrayal. Dallas was good for me. New city, new apartment, new colleagues who knew nothing about my past. I could be just Matthew, not Matthew who got cheated on, or Matthew whose wife ran off with an instructor. I made new friends, joined a hiking group, started going to concerts again. Slowly, piece by piece, I rebuilt my life into something that was mine alone. Not ours, just mine. 2 years after Norfolk, I met someone special. Amanda, an architect with an infectious laugh and zero tolerance for games. We met at a hiking trail, both reaching for the same water fountain, and laughed about it. "You know," she said on our 5th date, "you're different from most guys I date. You're honest, almost brutally so." Bad experience in my past, I explained, taught me the value of honesty. Want to talk about it? And I did. I told her everything. The 6 months of training, the weird calls, the blocking, the U-Haul, the discovery. All of it. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Thank you for telling me. That must have been hell. But you know what I appreciate most? That you're not bitter. You're cautious, sure. But you're not letting it poison you." "I decided a long time ago not to let her take any more from me," I said. "She took 6 months of my life, $5,000, and my ability to trust easily. But I wasn't going to let her take my future too." Amanda smiled. "Smart man. We've been together for a year now. It's not perfect, no relationship is. But it's real. She's real. And I know the difference now. I know what honesty looks like, what genuine love feels like. Sometimes I still think about that night in Norfolk. The glowing phone screen. The 15 missed calls. The moment my world came apart. But I don't think about it with pain anymore. I think about it as the night I saved myself from a lifetime with the wrong person. Daphne taught me a valuable lesson, though not the one she intended. She taught me that I'm stronger than I thought. That I can survive betrayal and come out the other side. That endings, even painful ones, can lead to better beginnings. I never saw Daphne again after that coffee shop encounter. Heard she left the Coast Guard, couldn't handle the pressure. Last I knew, she was back in Houston working at a gym. Alone. I don't take satisfaction in that. I don't wish bad things for her. I just don't wish anything for her at all. She's a stranger who once wore my wife's face. Nothing more. The U-Haul truck that carried my things to Norfolk and back sits in a rental lot somewhere, probably hauling someone else's life to a new beginning or a new ending. For me, it was both. An ending to naivety and blind trust. A beginning to self-awareness and strength. Would I do anything differently if I could go back? Honestly, no. I wish I hadn't wasted 6 months and $5,000, sure. But the experience made me who I am now. And I like who I am now. I'm careful but not cynical. Cautious but not closed off. Wounded but healing. That's all anyone can ask for, really. To survive our betrayals and still be capable of trust. To have our hearts broken and still be willing to love. To lose everything and still be able to start again. Thank you for watching this video. YouTube may no longer suggest my channel to you, so subscribe to it to receive new interesting stories. You will also help the channel grow and improve the quality of its content. The screen now displays a playlist with other interesting stories that you can listen to. You can also write in the comments what stories you would like to see on the channel.